All right. Time to do a little research on Jack the Joker Hermanson. Jack Hermanson. All right. Whoa, a lot of videos come up. Hermanson, the Joker. Here we go. Let's see what we got. Do a little research now.
Oh, how delicious it is!
Wow. Huh.
Destroy them!
Good footwork. Like it. Good footwork. Good range also. Nice range. A lot of people out there. I don't know if this was sanctioned. Wow. Jared Cannoneer has his hands full Saturday night. Wow. Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC on ESPN Plus 18. Jack the Joker Hermanson versus Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannoneer. We're going to talk about two free plays that we have on this card. Also going to have options on Wagertalk. We'll be uploading those tomorrow. If you like UFC gambling, UFC content, UFC advice overall, definitely hit the subscribe button. I always appreciate everybody who always gives us a thumbs up, gets involved in the channel. Always appreciate everybody down below who comments. I always try to get involved down below and continue the conversation down there. Let me know the bets you have, the bets you're looking to place, prop bets, anything else, any other comments, definitely down below is where to leave them. So the first thing we're going to be talking about here is our free play. Our first main free play is on the main event of the evening between Jack the Joker Hermanson and Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannoneer. So this is an interesting fight here. Both of these guys have a lot of things moving, a lot of moving parts to this fight. And the more that I looked into it, the more I like the bet on this fight. So I know a lot of people love when we talk about main card, main fights, main card. So this is one here that I do like, and I'm really interested to kind of see what you guys are thinking after I do give my play on this fight here. So the first person we're going to be talking about is Jared Cannoneer. Jared Cannoneer is 12-4. Current odds on him is plus 184. You've got Jack Hermanson is minus 230. He is 20-4. So Cannoneer here, we're going to go over, and like I always say, like to go over past fights and kind of piece together what we believe is going to happen in this fight and then cap it and see if the odds make sense to place the bet. So we're going to look at two each for these guys at this point. And the first we're going to go over 2 fights ago was Jared Cannoneer moving down in weight. He was fighting David Branch. Now we all know what happened with David Branch. David Branch now has been recently caught with PEDs, steroids, whatever it may be, banned, thrown out of the UFC. But at that time, he was on steroids, and he was able to fight Jared Cannoneer. So this was a very interesting fight to me because you've got somebody like Cannoneer who has moved down in weight, was fighting at heavyweight, light heavyweight, and that was a big thing when you're looking at Cannoneer because he has power, he's a big guy, but maybe it was a little bit slower. Now in this division here, has a little bit more pop, kept the pop that he had in his hands, and now has a little bit more speed with that. So David Branch is a kind of fighter that we all know. He's going to go push forward. He's got some power, but he also is very good on the ground. Great credentials when it comes to grappling. And in that first round, he really went out there in that first round, and David Branch knew that he didn't want to stand and really just bang with Cannoneer. Cannoneer landed some good shots very early in that fight, and right away David Branch went to really push forward, get in his face, look for the takedowns. Now the big part here for me, and a big takeaway I think in this fight, was the fact that Cannoneer was taken down. There was points in that first round where, David Branch got on the ground, but you saw how quickly Cannoneer got up. And I thought that was very impressive for a guy that does not have the wrestling credentials overall, or the ground game overall, that someone like Branch has. And I thought it was interesting that he laid it on early, he went on early, he got on top of him. A couple really tough spots for Cannoneer where Branch had his back. Branch, it looked in really bad spots very quickly, but how quickly Cannonier was able to really turn it around, turn it over, get back to his feet, and find opportunities to throw some strikes. Now, that first round was not much damage. And the thing also that was a takeaway for me here was that Cannonier was in those bad spots, did not take damage, and got out of those positions fairly quickly. So those are huge takeaways. And then you go to that second round, that was where Cannonier really, I think, got into his groove, really decided to step it up and found opportunities to really lay into his striking. And you saw in that second round, David Branch was trying to, once again push forward, once again trying to get the takedowns. He looked a little gassed there, but Cannonier looked in great shape, great defense. He's got great counter wrestling, and you saw there, once he had the space, once that Jared Cannonier actually had the space to work some of his striking, that was when he unloaded. And that was when he landed some big shots on David Branch, put him away, ended up getting up top of him. And when he lunges forward and he throws those big hooks, those big power shots, he's used to fighting guys much bigger than that. He landed some big shots, put down David Branch, ends up finishing him in the second round by TKO. But I thought the big takeaway, again, I know I've said it a couple times already, but it's a big takeaway when you're able to really get up 3 times, 4 times, I believe it was, where David Branch had a really great body control of Cannonier, and he popped up. Now we go on to the other fight that he had against Anderson Silva. This was a fight here that, I gotta say, I was leaning more towards Silva here. I thought Silva was gonna really be able to pick him apart from the outside. And now you take a look at this fight, and when I rewatch all these fights, but rewatching this fight here, I really liked what I saw from Cannonier again, because you take a look against Anderson Silva. Yes, he's older. Yes, he's not, he's no spring chicken anymore. We get it, but he's got technique. He's got skills. He's got elite striking. Again, he's not at that, the prime of his career, of course not, but he still looked pretty sharp when he was out there against Cannonier and was able to land some good shots, kicks. I like the fact that even Cannonier was throwing a lot of leg kicks there early, and I think that really started to, wear on Silva very quickly in that fight. And even the way that how really patient Cannonier was. When he was out there and he was fighting, he wasn't really looking to let me go out there and make a statement. Let me go out there and just go and look to knock him out. He did not look to do that at all. He actually was very patient, waited for the openings, chipping away on his calf, looking for the leg kicks, threw some big shots up top early. Silva, he knows Silva's going to throw some hard body shots. He landed a couple, a spinning kick I think he threw one time. But you saw how confident he was in his striking to stand toe-to-toe with Silva, waited on it, kept working the leg. It was an unfortunate kind of ending to it. I would have loved to have seen more, because I think Cannonier was looking really sharp early in that fight. Would have been nice to see more. Yes, he gets the finish in that first round. A little bit kind of, left you kind of seeking more. You wanted to see more and see what else was going to be happening in that fight. But Cannonier does go out there and get that victory. Now we're going to talk about Jack Hermanson, minus 230 in this fight. And we're going to talk about the same guy when he fought David Branch. Now, we fought David Branch, and this was another fight where you've got two guys, Hermanson, or again, we're going to talk more about, stylistically how these two match up when it comes to Cannonier and it comes to Hermanson. But you've got two guys that fought the same guy. And now, when Hermanson went up against David Branch, I thought it was very impressive what Hermanson was able to do, because again, it was the same type of thing where you take a look at, Branch's, he's pretty well-rounded. Again, a guy that's been a champion in other organizations. But I like what he was able to do, where Branch has those wrestling credentials, has that grappling credentials, and still that Hermanson was able to land some big shots, put the pressure on, and even take him down. And again, we're going to talk about that a little bit further, but was able to take down a black belt and throw him to the ground, find position. I thought it was very exciting the way that it was able to really put that pressure on a guy that more, pretty much, they both got the credentials, but more or not would be able to get out of those positions. So I thought that was interesting. Hermanson goes out there, gets the first round submission by guillotine, a very creative guillotine, kind of a half guard guillotine. Very impressive for Hermanson. He goes out there and he gets that victory. The other one we're going to be talking about is against Jacare, and Hermanson versus Jacare. This was a main event fight. This was a fight where, you've got two grapplers. You've got Jacare, elite wrestling. Elite grappling, elite overall ground game. People are terrified to be on the ground with this guy at all. And you've got someone like Hermanson that, again, well-rounded guy, not as much when it comes to the striking, but has the ground game. And in a fight like this, you know what? I did bet Hermanson on this fight, But in a fight like this, it was a tough fight to bet. It was really a tough fight to bet because I felt like Hermansson was a little bit more of a wild card in that fight. But the fact he was able to go out there and take Jacare down and look for the takedown and consistently look for the takedown, I thought that was very interesting because sometimes it's going to void it out. It's going to nullify each other. They're going to both look to push forward and they're both going to be looking for maybe the takedown and they both can't do it. So they kind of stand and they bang and that's kind of the way that the fight proceeds for the rest of the fight. This was a fight here where you take a look and it was a hard fought fight. But in the grappler versus grappler exchanges, you've got Jacare was 0 for 3 over a 5-round fight. Could not get Hermansson down, but you've got Hermansson who went for 10 takedowns and had 3 successful takedowns. So that is just, I think, very impressive for a guy like him that's really able to, again, look to take down. He must really be confident in his ground game if he's looking to take down Jacare. And that just shows the credentials that he has. He was able to get on top of him. He was able to take a lot of advances. And I like that he was able to really push and have that output. Because when you take a look against what their output overall, both of them, you've got Jacare was, he threw 176 punches, significant strikes, and landed 90. Then you've got Jacare who threw, I think I threw it up. You've got Jacare who threw 176 strikes, landed 90. Then you've got Hermansson who threw 372 strikes and landed 148. So he really had that output. He really was pushing forward, and that's very important when you're fighting a guy like Cannoneer, because against a guy like Cannoneer who's got the big shots, you want to have that output to kind of push him away a little bit and also have him worrying about the takedowns as well. But I thought it was a really great job by him. Now, the thing that for me, I'm big on Jacare. I've always been big on him overall, but justice is a decline for him, and not taking anything away from that fight, it is impressive, completely impressive for him to go out there and get the upset against Jacare. But Jacare is 2-3 out of his last 5, and the one of his wins was against Weidman, where he was absolutely losing that fight, and a late stoppage ends up getting them that win. So he could possibly be 1-4 in his last 5. Little bit of a decline in that, so you've got to take a little bit of that away overall, but an impressive win nonetheless. So with that being said, I think the things that we need to look at here overall is obviously Cannoneer's power. Now, Cannoneer has that power, has the big shots, but he's used to fighting those big heavyweights. And that's something where when you're fighting heavyweights consistently, and you're used to that, and that's just what you're used to. You're used to pushing forward and wrestling and grappling guys so much bigger than you. Although Cannoneer's come down in weight, he's kept that power, and that's something that you really need to take away from. And the fact that he's the only guy to ever knock out 3 guys in 3 different weight classes. That's impressive. Any way you look at it, I mean, you could play with stats and you could change numbers around and favor them but that's very impressive when you have that overall. Now, not only that, but a big part when you're fighting a guy like Hermansson is the grappling, the wrestling. Now, that's going to be a part of this fight. Any way you look at it, it's absolutely going to be part of this fight. And when you're looking at what he's able to do, and his counter wrestling is so damn good. And I've been very impressed looking back at it and how much he's really elevating over the last few fights against guys that have much more better wrestling credentials, grappling credentials, and then goes up against those fighters and able to push forward and able to land big shots and get these finishes. So I think that's very impressive there. But then you've got Hermansson on the other side. Now, Hermansson, very intriguing fighter. I mean, the way that he fights, he covers distance very well. Covers distance absolutely very well, great footwork, and it's an awkward movement. And you'll see that overall, and if you've watched some of his past fights, you'll see overall how he really moves. And a lot of times, even against Jacare was very confused, I thought. Couldn't really find his angles. Even when he was throwing shots, I think that's why Jacare was a little bit gun-shy, because he was very confused on really how to land the big shot. Jacare is a little bit more flat-footed, I think, compared to Cannoneer, and Hermansson definitely has that movement. So that's a very interesting part. But the big part also is his footwork. Is his foot sweep takedown. Those are something that overall that Hermansson really is able to do in the clinch, a foot sweep, take you to the ground, find your back, find the opportunity to get on top. He's got terrific ground and pound. I mean, we've seen that throughout his career, how great overall his ground and pound is. Now, with that all being said, the things that I don't like about Hermansson. Now, you've got Hermansson that, yes, you know what, we know that he's got great ground game. You know that, that he's not scared to stand toe-to-toe. I mean, we've seen him. He's not scared to stand toe-to-toe and then look to seek to level change. But to me, overall, his striking is pretty basic. And even when he's throwing, he kind of leaves himself open. And he hasn't fought the level of striking like a Cannoneer. He has not seen the power and the kind of bulldozing moving forward that you're going to see here. And I thought it was a little basic, a little, there wasn't really much to it. Very simplistic. And the fact that when there is a time where there is pushing forward, and you saw it in one of his losses, he turtles up a lot. I mean, when he finds that there is pressure and he's a little bit nervous about that pressure, he turtles up. He doesn't really look to find an opening. And a guy like Cannoneer, who's going to do that, who's absolutely going to push forward and look for the big shots, if he does that at all in that fight, the fight's going to be over. I mean, if he's gonna turtle up, and this isn't boxing, it doesn't cover a lot of your face, it doesn't cover a lot of you at all. If he's looking to do that, I think Cannoneer is going to have a lot of success. And overall, his limited striking, I think, yes, again, you've seen some nice, some brilliance with some of his striking. Maybe not brilliance, but you've seen some nice striking. But overall, the skill set is very basic. So for me, when I'm looking at this, you've got somebody like Cannoneer, you've got him at a plus 184. I just can't get away from that price. When I'm looking at it, you know what, I feel like this is a 50-50 fight, and when you've got Cannoneer, the probability with him, you know what I mean, you're giving the implied probability of him winning at 35%. I think it's way higher than that. I like Cannoneer here. I mean, I can't get away from the plus 184. I can't get away from it. If this fight was a pick'em, I think I would possibly lean more towards Hermanson. But when you've got those odds, I like those odds. I can't get away from it. I'm going to be betting Jared Cannonier here. I think the value is there. I think overall this is going to be a tight fight. And you got a fighter that's pushing up to the plus 190 range, where I think that he is really starting to find his groove in this division. He's really starting to find overall him evolving and elevating. I'm taking Cannoneer here as my first free play at plus 184. We are going to go to our next replay. Our next replay is between Gilbert Burns and Gunnar Nelson. You've got Gilbert Burns is minus 140. You've got Nelson at plus 116. And we're going to quickly go through this one here. You've got both of these guys overall, and to go down, he's who they've beaten, and they fought some top caliber fighters. But when you take a look overall at what these guys have done, now I like Gilbert Burns and his power and his strength. His strength is really underrated, and even his striking, very underrated, very versatile. I mean, they talk a lot about his grappling and how great his grappling is, and and his power where he's able to take you down. But I really like the fact that he goes out there and he really mixes it up well. And when you take a look at what he does overall, and when he's striking, he's looking to get you to kind of obviously, take your focus away from a takedown. But then I love the calf kick. He uses that, and you will see him use that guaranteed as one of the first 3 or 4 strikes that he uses on Saturday. Without a doubt, he is going to be throwing that kick, looking to soften you up, slow you down. And a guy like Gunnar, who has that karate stance, that wide karate stance, and he's not scared that's his comfort zone. He likes that. And that really leaves open that front leg for a lot of shots, some takedowns, a lot of opportunity there for a guy who's very opportunistic and burns. And you've got someone like Gunnar Nelson, who overall I think his striking is starting to evolve. I think that he's looked a lot better. And even when he's fought someone like Leon Edwards, he's found some success there. And then he just kind of doesn't have that output. And you see a lot where his output is very low. Even in positions where he has control of his opponent. He has that control, he has the position, and he doesn't look to really advance. He's looking for either the submission and wasting a ton of time without really softening up his opponent, just slowly moving throughout. And yes, that can work. I understand that's part of it. It could work. But when he's got so much time and he could maybe really soften up a guy, put some damage, that's when you really capitalize on your opponent. And where he is a strong grappler, we understand that he is a strong grappler, but the low volume, and again, against Leon Edwards, he had some great positioning and just didn't do anything. And I think that's going to leave opportunities for a guy like Gilbert to get out of those spots. And again, the karate stance, I think, is really going to spell a bad spot for Gunnar. And Gunnar is not scared to strike. He is not scared to strike at all. I think, again, it has stepped up, and I think he's looked pretty good. But I give it to Burns. I think Burns wins. On the ground, now if they're grappling and a situation where Gunnar on top, he is vicious. Gunnar on top is absolutely vicious. He is, as in like, just really able to put his opponent away, fine positioning, but again, the output's a little low. When he's on the bottom, Gunnar looks lost. I mean, there are spots where I'm like, how is this guy does not seem that he can really advance or shift or put right positioning for his legs or his arms. When he's on the bottom, he looks terrified. So Gilbert, I like him on the bottom, the top. I like him standing. I think there's a lot of paths to victory for him here. The minus 140 price, I like the price there. I will be betting Gilbert Burns as my other free play. So those are my free plays for UFC on ESPN plus 18. We've got Jared Cannoneer in the main event plus 184, and we've got Gilbert Burns at minus 140. Definitely subscribe if you've not yet done so. Give it a thumbs up. Always appreciate everybody who does that. Comment. Let me know what you guys think of these plays. Really curious what you guys are thinking of this main event. It's going to be a fun one to watch. And we will have the bet review show out on Sunday. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. And I'll see you Sunday at the bet review.